Welcome to Money Making Sense, the show that talks about all things money. We are still doing our 10 tax tips series, and joining me today is Bill Walpole. You're with Teuscher Walpole. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
So you are the man that calls me all the time and says, "Give me your money." That's what you.
No, that would not be me.
Okay, but you're going to talk to us about those fraudulent calls that people are getting.
Yes, and they are numerous. They've been going on for several years. In fact, I was just researching some stuff this morning at an IRS website that shows clear back 2015 they had a problem with it. Here we are 4 years later. Still going on. So
it's people calling up pretending to be IRS agents.
That is correct.
Saying there's a problem with your return, whatever, but just, we can take care of this right now. Give us your credit card number. We're going to charge you $2,000 and you'll be done.
Yes, and people are afraid of the IRS, so immediately they start to acquiesce to those kinds of things.
So what's the first thing somebody should do if they get supposedly a call from an IRS agent?
Hang up. Don't even talk to them, because the IRS does not make phone calls to you. They will send you correspondence.
What if I've called and I submitted my return, and all of a sudden 2 days later I get another W-2 in the form in the mail that I'd totally forgotten about? I'm like, I never included it in my taxes. Oh my gosh. So I call the IRS, leave a message, and then I get a call from the IRS, supposedly the IRS. How do I identify that that's not the real IRS calling me versus a prank caller or somebody who's trying to get money?
Generally, if you call and leave a number for the IRS to contact you back, they will call, they will identify you, they will ask for the specific reason why you had called, and then you will talk to them at that point. The problem you have is on these prank phone calls, fraudulent phone calls, is they will trick you into giving private information. By doing this, they'll call and give you some story that's real urgent and you're in trouble with, and then they'll say, I need to verify who you are. Please give me your social security number so I can verify that with my records. Oh. Please give me your birth date so I could verify that with my records. Don't ever give anybody your social security number over the phone.
So if you've called and given them enough information, when they call you, they'll say, hey, I'm calling for my name, Heather Kelly, about you say that you missed a W-2 when filing.
And they may even tell you what time you called and left the message at. You could always ask them that. Okay.
So there are ways, if you don't just immediately hang up when they say I'm with the IRS and you go, yeah, right, and you don't hang up right away, there are definitely some questions you need to ask to make sure you're really talking to an IRS agent.
That's correct.
And one of the things not to give them is that, what you said,
your social security number and personal information. They already have that. And for them to say, I need you to verify this type of information so I know who I'm talking to, you could probably give them the last 4 digits of your social. Don't give them the whole social. And do not give out any other personal information until you're sure who they are.
Okay. I would advise, I mean, if it be me, hang up and then call the IRS back at a number you know is really the IRS.
Correct.
Not the ID that popped up, like if you have caller ID, not that phone number.
Correct. They will call you from an IRS center. Generally, the IRS, as I said previously, will not contact you by phone. Most likely they would send you a letter. I think that if you had the circumstance you were explaining about a W-2 that was missing and you had to add that, you could contact the 1-800-829-1040 number and tell them that you have a question, could you please have someone call me about that question? Then they can call and respond to that without even giving them any personal information, saying, I have a question concerning this situation that happened. How do I go about fixing that? Because that's a helpline, and they will help you on the helpline.
Okay.
You haven't given any personal information. You're just giving them the specifics of the situation to try to rectify it. And then in doing so, you could find out how to go forward with that. You might end up with a person that says, I will put you in contact with such and such department. They can handle it or help you.
And then you could also, if you get the call from the IRS, and even if it sounds legit, still hang up and go to your CPA and go, they said this, is this true? And the CPA can maybe work things for you.
Correct. And the CPAs have other means of contacting the IRS. If there's a problem that's going to require certain things, we have different numbers we can use to contact them with.
Same thing if you get the letter. If you get a letter from the IRS, just go to your accountant.
Correct.
And let them deal with it.
Correct. You could, I mean, the CPAs are generally friendly enough that even if you're not a client and you could call and say, I got a letter, I'm just curious what I should do.
Okay. But basically, tell us again, what do we do if somebody calls and says they are from the IRS?
If you know that there's no reason for them to be contacting you, hang up. There's no reason to do that. Now, there are websites that can tell you how to contact and report these types of calls.
Oh, okay.
To the Internal Revenue Service as well as to the United States government. I don't know if anything will happen from that point, because generally when they're doing this fraud, they're doing it from a phone number that they've transferred 3 or 4 times over. That they're not going to catch who they are. But they can find if there's a pattern involved. They can usually research that and see if there's some way to stop it.
Okay. Anything else we need to know about fraudulent calls?
Don't panic when you receive these type of calls. Keep your head as they go through the things on threatening. And if you're not even there, they will sometimes even leave messages on your voicemail saying you're in trouble, you need to call this number or whatever else. And specifically, the IRS would never ask you to pay on a debit card that they've determined or some other way of paying a liability that they're assuming. You as the taxpayer have the right to be able to determine how you're going to make payment. The IRS does not determine that.
All right. And weren't you saying as we were getting started, like you received a phone call that somebody...
Oh, yeah. Some of these calls are so far out there, they called up and instead of saying, law enforcement is coming to get you, or there's problems with this or whatever, they said the cops. Now that's a dead giveaway that this isn't somebody working for the government, because that's a slang term.
All right. Somebody called an accountant and said the cops are coming to get you.
Yes.
Did you just laugh?
Basically.
Yeah, okay. And that's what everybody should do. Just laugh, hang up the phone, just ignore those calls, and then if you are concerned about it, go to a CPA. And if you need to find your own, go to uacpa.org to find the accountant that works best for you. And thank you again to Bill Walpole. You're with Teuscher Walpole, and he's going to be one of these people that are helping with our tax tips. You can also tune in to KSL News Radio every week for the latest tax tips. Again, go to Utah Association of Certified Public Accountants to find the one that's best for you.
Thanks for being a Money Making Sense listener. Follow your common sense on the social media. Money Making Sense on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.